Thank you for joining me today. It's Jez here from nigezza.co.uk, and I'm here with the project that I did using this paper. This is all I've got left. Do you remember this paper that I did? This was the 12 by 12 sheet that I stuck the laser cut paper to and sort of sponged through, and I had ended up with this stenciled thing. So I cut it up. Do you know, it did hurt. Actually did hurt. So I've got these bits which I will not waste. I will do something else with, and this is what I've made. This is today's project, and this is what I'm gonna show you how I made. So this is a sort of book cover, but it's magnetic closure, and when you open it up, it's a holder for the cards I made. So got cards in that side and envelopes in the other side. So I thought this would make a lovely gift for someone. Oh, I've got glue over there. So I've got the envelopes there to go in there, and I'm sort of inspired by Caroline from Crafty Caroline Creates. When I first joined Stampin' Up, I joined under Caroline, and it's been almost a year now since she left us, and she made quite a lot of sort of gift boxes for cards because, as she would say in her video, she makes a lot of cards and likes to give them away as gifts, and I kind of do the same thing. But so I sort of was inspired by one of her projects to make this, and I've gone for a magnetic closure and not a ribbon closure. So please stay tuned and I'll show you how I made it. So I've got everything cut and prepped. So, and I have to say that it was actually a little bit painful to cut into these. I've still got a bit left over, so I can do a card or two with that. So I will put all the measurements on my blog, but I'll just quickly run through them. So this is the thick Whisper White, and this measures 11 by 7, and I've designed it that way so that if you've got 8.5 by 11 cardstock, then you can still make it. Okay, and then I decided, when I looked at it, I thought, yeah, fresh fig. Yeah, it is fresh fig. Oh, why did I doubt myself? I felt that was a colour that was jumping out on me, so I decided to use that as the matte. So we're going to use a matte. So these are the same size. So this one is 4.5 by 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, and this is 4.5 by 6.5. And then I've just got a strip. It's going to have an inch down the middle. So there's a strip there that's 3/4 of an inch by 6 3/4, and then we've got 1/2 inch by 6.5, so that will all mat together. And then the pockets on the inside, they're two different sizes because the envelopes are wider. So I've picked out the full cards, and the envelopes are wider than our cards. So I've made it so that it's slightly wider, the envelope one, and the envelope doesn't have to be as thick. So the pockets are going to be thicker on one side than the other. Okay, but still closing up so that it's an inch thick. So we have one strip here which is 10 inches by 3 1/4, and one strip that's 10 3/8 by 3 5/8, and then we've done some mats, and they do alter slightly. So we have got a 4 1/8 by 2 3/4, and a 3 7/8 by 2 1/2, and then this one is 4 3/8 by 2 3/4, and 4 1/8 by 2 1/2. Okay, all the measurements, as I say, will be over on my blog. So now just need to get into the scoring. I'll just move all these to one side and get my scoreboard. So simple scoring here for this. We are going to score at 5, and then we're going to score at 6. So we've got 5 inches there and 5 inches there, and that's it for that one. And then for these, we've got two different sizes, so I need to remember to do the correct sizes. So this is the 10" by 3 1/4, and that is scored at 1/4. That was half, Jez, you were nearly doing. So we're going to score that at 1/4. I've just used ordinary whisper white for this one. I've used thick for the outside. 1/4, 4 7/8, 5 1/8, 9 3/4. And then we're just going to flip it and do it. I might flip it that way so that that little mistake is covered up at 1/4. So this one's a very thin, box to hold the envelopes. I'm doing it as a full box and not a pocket, so it's got a bit of extra stability. Okay, and then for the card one, that is 5/8 deep, so we are going to score at 5/8. So that's the one past the quarter. And then flip it round, and again we're going to do 5/8, and then we're going to do 5, and then 5 5/8, and then 10. And we haven't got a 5/8 there because it doesn't need to be the fully 5/8 to sort of stick together. Okay, so that's all our scoring. So now we just need to do some folding and burnishing. Just getting my bone folder. So I think this will just make a lovely gift for someone. I make so many cards, and I do end up gifting some, and I do have some friends who love receiving cards, and I think it's just a bit nicer to stick it in a box. So do that, and I think it's quite nice when the box matches the cards. And so I've used a stronger one for the outside of the box to withstand usage. Okay, so we're just going to make this up like a top opening box. So we need to do some snipping. So we're going to snip away one of these edges. So we're just going to go all the way up all the straight lines. Cut away this one at the end there. I'll do a little bit of a notch in at the top there, and then we'll just notch in these other flaps. This is, oops, I've just ripped that flap off. It won't matter. It's such a tiny, tiny bit. But that will not matter. And then we do the same on this side, perhaps without ripping, Jez. So just notch there a little bit, notch down there. And then we'll just use a bit of Tombow. So we want to stick that. Gonna just trim a bit of this because it's actually the same size, so I am just going to take a smidge off so that it will stick nicely. I think it needs another smidge off there. Give that a minute to just put a thing on there. So this is going to stick that side. So we'll stick that over. And then, so that's going to be the back. So we want yes, it felt that way. So I'll just put a bit of blobs on there. I do like to sandwich my flaps. Less chance of your cards catching. I actually missed the tombow at the end. Let's get some at the end there. In my quickness. There we go, get my bone folder. And I probably should have stuck, well, in fact I should have stuck the cover on first. But hey ho. Right, so that's the back. So we are going to blob that there, blob along there. Close this down. Close this over. So that's our two little boxes that are going to attach themselves to the inside of here to hold our cards and envelopes. And you see when they meet, it's still an inch. And I'm going to be closing it with some magnets. So actually, it's probably better that I haven't stuck the layers on, because I need to know where they're going to meet. So I am going to do these layers whilst it's flat. And I have used this decorative ribbon punch, and I've cut a decorative ribbon, and it's whether or not I choose to have it going down like that or kind of across the middle. And there's a bit of me that actually thinks along like that. So I'm just going to cut another one out in case you've never seen this punch. So I just line it up like so, punch it down, and then you line these up with that there, and then it will punch perfectly in line, making sure the end's butted up here. And then you've got your third one there, because you're cutting 3 out at a time, so we've got 3 there then, matching those up, and then it'll punch. And again, go to the end one of the 3, make sure it's butted up, and punch. And then you need to come to this side, and so you're counting 1, 2, 3, put that 3rd one at this end, and punch, and that's the ribbon. That is more than we need, so I'm just going to flip that off like that. So I want to stick the ribbon on first before I start gluing it all together. So I'm going to use my grid mat as a guide. So I might go 3 that side of the grid mat, take a bit of washi tape, secure that there so that I will know to go along there. Do I want it a bit more in? I might actually go a little bit further over. I might go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over. Line it up top and bottom. Then use the washi, and then I can put those 2 on the edge of that dark line, and then that way I know I'm going to get it straight. So I'll just put a bead. There is enough surface there to stick that on. Hold the ends, line them up. Stick it down. Take off the washi, and then you just take your scissors and snip it from the back. And that gives you perfect alignment, and then we'll just glue it to the fresh fig. Can of course round the corners if you want. I did do a bit of a practice one, and I did round the corners, but I then decided that I would leave them. I've got a little bit of mispunched there. Let's take that off. There. So that's going to mat on there. These would also be good, I guess, if you're doing craft fairs, to make beautiful boxes like this, to put some of a selection of your handmade cards. You could always allow people to make their own choices. So I've done this to sort of hold 4 cards, so you could allow people to choose their own cards to go in the box. That might be quite nice. I'll just stick that down. Now you can do this with a ribbon closure, which I did do in practice. So you would stick your ribbon underneath this before you stick it all down. But I have chosen to do a magnetic closure because I didn't have any of the in colour ribbons. So I had some retired, but I thought, oh, I'll do it with a magnetic and show you how to do that. So yeah, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do it that way, not that it actually matters. So we'll go 3, 4, 5 that way. A bit washy. Hold it in place, and then we'll stick it down. This one's not quite as long, so I haven't got quite so much wrigglage with this one. I think I cut this from the offcut of cutting the panels. There we go. So grid mats are amazing for lining up in that way. Of course, most craft mats, if you've got a craft mat, have lines, so you can do it using those as well. Stick that down there like so. Running out, it's not really running out, just needs to be sat with its nose down, which I will do now as I prepare for the next bit. Right, so we'll stick that like so. I just thought, using the lacy border, I just thought it was quite a nice way, because just thought it went really well. Okay, so that is the front and that's the back. Lovely. Do you know, that'd be really nice mini album cover as well. Ooh, pretty pages in there. That would work. That would work. Okay, so these are going to go on here. I'm just going to trim that little tad off there where I ripped it. Take these little bits off that I've glued. Just make it a little bit neater. Just add some fluffy ends. Okay, so it goes that way anyway. So these are going to go on here and they're going to go on there. I'm going to bring in my envelopes just as a double check. So they do go in there. You can fit more in. Okay, I've just done it with 4, so you can fit more in. I've chosen 4 of these cards, and there is sort of dimensionals used on these cards. So if the cards were flatter, you could fit more in. So they go in there. You could probably fit another one in there, and I say if you had non-dimensional ones, you could fit more in. Okay, so I'm putting that on my grid mat quite straight, and so I'm sort of lining it up so it goes up 2 notches, and that is about right. Okay, so we're going to stick some glue on the back here. You could decorate the inside if you wanted to as well. I'm not doing that. So just holding this on, lining it up. I'm going to get my ruler and I'm going to line along up to from there to there, so I can see where to put it, and sort of eyeballing it so it's centered on here as well. And then stick your bone folder down to glue that in place. You need to use wet glue or tear and tape, something like that, something strong to hold this down well. There we go, and then I'm going to put them to one side. I'll do the same on this side. Just put a little bit there and it's not coming out. There. There we go. That was worth waiting for, wasn't it? Right. So again, I want to line this up. Up to the second mark there. Eyeball it so it's sort of centered. And stick that down. Quite nice to do projects like this that are a little bit longer. I quite like it, so you can see when you look down that it is the right thickness for the spine, and they meet quite nicely. So we're going to do a magnetic closure, so I'm going to do one there and one there, I think, for closing, so it's closed all the way along as opposed to just on the edges. So I've got my magnets, they are stuck to my ruler, and I've got some glue dots, so I'm gonna put it on the shorter side so that we know where they are on that side. So get our first two. One on a glue dot, another one on a glue dot, peel it off, stick that on there, in a bit so that it will get nicely covered by the mat that's going on there. these on there. Put a glue dot on the back of each of these magnets. So these are super strong magnets, and I buy them off eBay, and I buy them in packs of 50, and they aren't very much money. £4 or £5, I can't remember, might not even been that much. And then we'll close that up so that they meet in there. Press it down slightly so that the glue dot sticks, and open it up, and there we have them. So just give them a bit of a squeeze, make sure they're well stuck. So now we need to do the mats. We need to get the right mats for the right size. So that'll be that side. That'll be that side. There we go. So those magnets are nicely covered, and I've cut some of this ribbon trim to go round there as well. So I will stick those on first. I might, if this is now getting a bit long, not sure how long it's been, might speed this up. We've been 20. So that's it. It will close up nicely there. Got a pretty box. It'll open up, and we can put our cards and our envelopes. And you could add a ribbon to this if you wanted to. And they just slip in there. And then we've got a nice selection of cards, which if you haven't seen the video of how I made these, then do check it out. Oh, there's 5 cards on this side. I'll need another envelope then, don't I? So I made these, I coloured these, laser cut, and that's how I created the paper. And then they just slip in there. With the magnets across the middle, holding it closed really nicely. That would be a beautiful gift. Hope you liked it. All the details and all those measurements, because there's quite a lot of measurements, will be on my blog, nigezza.co.uk, and do check it out, and check back the other video if you haven't already. And I've got these little scraps left, so I can still make a few cards out of that lot. Okay, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you again soon.